Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page where I do this daily live stream based on the divination cards that I've drawn in the morning. So welcome, and it is a beautiful day here in Tomah, Wisconsin. Oh my gosh, it's like the bluest blue sky, sunshine, and it's like, I don't know, 60 degrees or so. Yeah, I know for some people that would be warm, but when you just come out of winter here, 40 degrees is warm, and so it's really really nice out. And so I couldn't wait to bring the studio back up here to Star Nations Academy, because we have so many more windows here. When I produce the show from my meditation room, I don't have any windows in my meditation room. And yeah, so it's nice to be in the sunshine. It is. And it's Friday. Yay, Friday. Friday the 19th, April 19th. Good Friday. Good Friday. For those who celebrate Easter. Yeah. So, Good Friday. I was doing meditation this morning, and one of my thoughts that went through my head was, oh, today's Good Friday, and I could hear somebody from my team saying, all days are good. Good days are filled with love. Good days, they're all good, and they are, right? And they are. So Julie's here. Hello, Julie. Good to have you here. Happy Friday to you. Good Friday to you. And she said, wait a minute. She said something about shirts. Hang on. She says shirts and t-shirt weather. It's right. That's Wisconsin, right? Of course, when as soon as it's like 30 degrees, you will see people wearing shorts. Yes, here. Uh-huh. Hey, Rob's here too. The location is purely academic. But it's what do realtors say, Rob? The location, right? Yeah. Hey, Rochelle, good to have you here. Good to have you here. And Rob is wishing everybody a blessed Passover to everyone today. To you too, Rob. And hi, Jocelyn. Jocelyn's here too. Good to have you here, Jocelyn. Good reminder. Thank you, Rochelle. See, Rochelle's on it today. She's reminding us. I got my phone out, and I'm going to find our page here, and then the live stream, and I'm going to share it, just like Rochelle did. Thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate it. Here we go. There we are. I'm going to love it, and then I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it over to my news feed. And I would invite you to share as well, even if it's just to one friend. That's really good, right? And the reason why we do this is because for those souls that are searching for information, right? Maybe they're even looking for a spiritual community to be a part of, right? And so when we do this kind of sharing, we're just easier to find, really, because it puts us in the news feed much more often. And yeah. Do you remember those old days, those early days when you were just, pure seeking? You were seeking knowledge, you were seeking information, reading everything you could get your hands on, watching videos and that sort of thing. So whenever we find something that we really enjoy and that it touches us, that it resonates with us, to share it, and because somebody else is looking for the same information. So I'm sending this over to my newsfeed. I'm just saying hi to my friends and letting them know that I'm live streaming and asking them to please join us. Oops. Gotta punctuate is good. There we go. And I think I'm going to do some sharing out to the closed groups too, because Stephanie is on a family errand for the next couple of days. She had to drive from Colorado to Oklahoma and back, and so yeah. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to turn down my sound.
I appreciate it.
There we go. And then we're going to share it. Oh, rats. I tell you what, when Facebook does changes and they move things around, God, it used to be here, right? Now, I used to be able to share it to more than one. I don't know. They changed something. Sorry about that, guys. It took me a little bit longer than usual, just to get it shared out to one of the closed groups. And I was just thinking that, we get into a routine, right? And when something gets moved, you go, "Oh my God, where'd it go? It used to be right here." Okay, all right, that's good. That'll do. So yesterday, I missed you guys. Yesterday, I was like immersed. It was an immersion in the publishing end of Star Nations. We were working on the new book and getting the proof, those things that needed to be changed, and yeah, the layout specialists were wrestling with two different platforms. And I was like on call. They would want me to test something out in one of the platforms, and so then we would have to do that, and so I really needed to focus on that, and so that's why I ended up having to cancel. But today everything is good. Everything worked out yesterday, and by 10 o'clock last night, we had everything situated, and so it feels good, when you accomplish something big like that. Yeah. And Rochelle's telling us she grounded too. So did anybody else remember to do their grounding today? One of the things I did when I was doing my meditation this morning, and that's how I started out, right? And so, although I do have my Merkaba that helps me to ground every day, all day, I still do the unity breath meditation, and to get connected to grandmother and grandfather, and feel the love that they have, right? So thank you, Rochelle. It's good that you did that. Whenever we do ground, we change the vibration around us, not just our own, but everything around us. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Bonnie's here too. Hello, Bonnie. Happy day to you too. And Julie says she's grounded. Yay. Thank you for doing that, Julie. Appreciate that. I do. Because the more of us that are, we get to, experience our life in a much more calmer and more stable way, right? And we affect the people around us. That's good too. That's really good. Okay. So the cards today. Let me tell you, Spirit was really chatty this morning. We got a few cards, and I only put down the first two that really came out very strong in the card draw this morning. The first one and the second one, and then we have a couple that kind of back them up too. So if we get to those other two, that would be great. But the first one, and these are all cards we've recently had. So this tells me that Spirit really has an important message around these particular cards, right? So the first one that came is Council Fire, and it's about decisions. It's about decisions. We've had this particular card at least 3 times in the last 3 weeks. Council Fire is the first card, and in the old days, In the old days, Indigenous people would meet to make decisions about the clan, about family, and they would gather, right? And they would have to make this decision that would affect a lot of people. And so many of the leaders would show up to these council fire meetings. But also, if you wanted to listen in, of course you could go, right? And the leadership in the old days, each clan would have a clan leader, and then they would have one main leader that would take the responsibility of communication to the whole nation, right? And in those days, in their language, of course, when they're trying to explain to somebody who doesn't speak their language, and someone's translating into another language, like English, a lot gets lost in the translation and things get changed in the translation because there may be a word in an Indigenous language that doesn't have an equivalent in English or another language. And so the interpreter is trying to figure out how to best describe it, let's say in English, right? And so that's where we got the word chief from. Yeah. Most Indigenous tribes, there were many leaders, because that's why you sat in a circle, right? The hierarchy wasn't necessarily based on that. The leaders did come from people who, and usually, men and women, that came from, because they cared a lot about their people, and they wanted the best for their people, and so they would end up doing so much for the people just on their own that they would be asked to lead, right? Yeah, and then once we had a lot of the Europeans coming in and changing how life was here, then we started adopting more of the leadership, and how that leadership the people become leaders, right? Kind of appointment and election and that kind of thing. But in the old days, it really was, it was all about the people and taking care of the people. So today's card, the council fire, because it's about decisions, right? And since we've had this card a few times already, the decisions that we're looking at, of course, it could be and is all about our soul growth. A decision that you may have to make in your physical life. It could be a decision about an emotional decision. It could be something about a spiritual decision. But there's a decision that needs to be made. Yeah. And we can ask for assistance in making that decision. Ultimately, the decision is ours individually, right? But it's okay to ask, people's opinion or people's advice, and to take that into consideration when you're making your final decision. And when we talk about that, we should include our spiritual committee in that as well. Yeah. Because our spiritual committees are huge. They're just not one or two, I was going to say people, one or two spirits. It's a lot more than that. We all have our angels. We all have our power animals. We all have our guides. We all have a number of teachers. We all have ascended masters on our teams. We have, of course, Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky. We also have, of course, the Creator and our higher selves. We have a lot of energies on our spiritual teams. And so if we don't include them, especially our higher self or our guardian angel, because those aspects of ourselves, they know everything about us, everything, because our guardian angel has known us since the time our soul was conceived. Mm-hmm. So through every incarnation, through all the lives in between, our guardian angel has known us that long. And of course, there's our higher self, that highest aspect of ourselves that has all the information as well. And so if we don't tap into that, it's like missing a major part of an equation. Your answer is going to be completely different. And so Jamie Sams, she writes, one comes to realize a sense of unity when observing the way our ancestors had a way of making democratic council decisions. When the good of the whole is placed before the good of the few, all are assured of a future filled with abundance. These teachings stress that until all the people are doing well, in truth, none of the people do well. This idea encompasses all races and creeds because grandfather's sun shines on all of us. We then respect the value of the individual and acknowledge the need to nurture the self first so that the talents each individual brings into the world can feed all of the people. If these guidelines are followed, the children of Earth will break the bonds of inequality and dictatorship. So in other words, that all of our gifts that we came in with and all of our skills and talents, that when we bring them to the table, when there's a decision that's going to be made that affects all the people, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And so when we're talking about our individual choices, our individual decisions, that's kind of like saying that our spiritual team, because each of them have a strength. Each of them have their gifts, right? Their knowledge, their wisdom. And so they get to lay it out on the table as well, so that you have a way of discerning all of that and in the direction that our soul wants to go. Right? And so then we end up with the decision. Do you ever make a decision and it feels so good? You feel lighter. You feel almost rejuvenated. You feel happy in those good decisions because you can feel it. And the opposite is true too. When you make a decision and you don't know, you're vacillating back and forth, and you've made one, but now you don't know. Maybe I made a mistake. And those kind of decisions, they don't feel good, do they? They don't feel good. You have this sinking feeling or this knot in your stomach, So when we turn into our emotions, to our feelings, they certainly can help us, can't they? Our guidance system that way. Hello, Pat. Good to have you here. And thank you for sharing. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Jane's here too. Hello, Jane. Good to have you here. And Rob is saying the good of the many ahead of the good of the few died in this hemisphere in 1492. Yeah. I also don't want to romanticize Indigenous people either, because we had our own and still have our own issues and problems with and how things are governed, right? The traditional people, those who still believe in the old ceremonies and the older aspects and more traditional aspects, some of them still, yes, They still lead in that way. Um, and they're still, their life is still kind of follows that path. But not every not every indigenous person is a traditionalist, and so, yeah. I wish I could take you all with me to experience a general council meeting with my nation, with the Potawatomi Nation, with the fire keepers. The Prairie Band is the one I belong to, and to go and experience it. Yeah, because it can get kind of boring. Number one, and number two is that you'd think that there would, more of a there's a lot of Robert's rules of order there. Yeah, in a general council meeting. Yep. And the elected officials, the tribal council and our president, they sit at a head table that's raised so you can see them. Yeah. There's an agenda. Yeah. It's an experience. It's an experience. Although they do open with a prayer and they close with a prayer. Yeah. And the elders do get to speak first. That's true. But yeah, if I could take you all with me just to experience it, that would be something, right? Hey, Tina's here too. Hello, Tina. Tina, have you experienced a tribal council meeting? I'm sure you probably have. They're interesting. They can kind of get boring, but I don't want to romanticize that Indigenous people, that we all have this way of connecting and being, especially when it comes to something like a council fire. Okay. But with saying that, what this card is all about is to be able to turn to your elders, maybe turn to those people that are closest to you, that you trust, and share with them about this decision that you're trying to make. Yeah, because those people are the ones that really truly want the best for you, right? And you get to share your feelings about something rather than holding it all in. And of course, turning to your spiritual team. Yeah. So Rochelle's saying, I'm experiencing that right now, Ari, whether to move or stay here. Tired of the cold weather. It goes on and on. Oh, I know. Yeah. And so that's a big decision, right? It affects your entire life. Yeah. And okay. When we become a certain age, and you can't really put an actual number on it, but when we get to a certain time in our life, when taking care of a full home becomes very daunting, things that we used to do no problem becomes a real chore, and in some aspects it actually becomes dangerous, unsafe. And so then we're at a point in our life that we have to make a decision on what to do with our home, this physical place that we've been maybe, for more than a decade, right? Or maybe it's the home that you raised your children in, and so there's a lot of memories there. But and to make that choice on, do I stay here or do I go to a retirement place, someplace warm like in Florida or Arizona, that kind of thing. And so it's a big choice. It's a big decision to make. Big decision. Yeah. And Tina's saying, not really. I don't like them. Not interested in any political agenda stuff. I laugh only because, Tina, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Yeah, I haven't been to one in quite a while. I used to go at least once a year. My nation holds them quarterly. And there's certain topics that come up that I really want to be able to hear firsthand, the comments and what they have to say, right? Yeah. Yeah, and it's that political stuff can get kind of, yeah, I'm not really interested in it either. On the other hand, I also don't believe in putting my head in the sand either. But to be awareness enough to know about if I have to vote on something. Yeah. I don't get so caught up in all the drama stuff. It's like watching a soap opera. Tina's saying a long time. It was probably good then. Yeah, I think that it goes in cycles. It goes in cycles. Yeah. All right. So the message with this card, with the Council Fire card, is that if you've been waffling over what to do next, the Council Fire card is insisting that you make a decision. There can be no forward movement if you fail to decide which trail will lead out of the swamp and into the forests. It takes courage to make changes in your life, and all changes must begin with a decision. Do it and don't look back. Life awaits you in all its beauty. If the decision of another has left you in a precarious position, make new decisions of your own. There's no need to make your decision based upon another's. Consider all possibilities and how your decision affects others, then be courageous enough to act. Find your truth and stick to it. So gather the information, right? Gather the information. Whatever decision that you're needing to make. Because, and thank you for sharing that, Rochelle. It could be because there's many of us that are making a decision that's going to affect not just our own life, but the lives of others, right? How could it not? We're so all interconnected. And also, how is it going to play out for our life? We can't see around every single corner, but we can certainly, in our research and in our quest for information, gathering it, we can certainly see there's some handwriting on the wall, right? Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of hard sometimes, I think, not to get stuck in the past. If your decision is about moving forward or going to a new place or starting a new job or, even those harder decisions, those are hard enough, but there's other decisions that are immensely difficult. And that is those decisions to end a marriage, those decisions to start life over, right? After a divorce, or after your significant other walks on. Those are huge life decisions. And the feeling I have is that there are many of us out there that are in the midst of that, right? Difficult. But if you're grounded, if you're centered, if you connect with your spiritual team and ask them to help you, ask them to bring you the information, ask them to bring you information to help you make the decision on whether to sell your house or not. And if you sell your house, who is the best realtor? Bring me the best realtor for this home and for the decision that I just made, right? Is to ask them to help you. They're waiting. They're wanting to help us. We just have to make the decision to ask them. Rochelle says, Asheville, North Carolina, beautiful major vortex there, healing crystals, and many, many fantastic restaurants. So you're leaning toward North Carolina. Oh, that's good. That's probably one of the reasons why you ended up going down there on your road trip, huh? Yeah, nothing wrong with that. So making a decision. So keep that one in mind. I want to read you the poem, because like I said, we've gotten this card a few times. But the poem, you guys know how much I like Jamie's poems. Council fire. Elders gathered the fire of wisdom light, words, decisions, conclusions, all through the night. See, in some of the old council fires, when the council would come together, and everyone would have a say, anyone who wanted to hear their voice and their opinion, their point of view, had a chance to do that. So depending on how many people are there, it could take quite a while for everyone or anyone who wanted to voice their thoughts. Because when you're in council like this, every point of view is sacred. You might not agree with them, but it's still a sacred point of view. Right? Yeah. So, if you decide to call council, to pull your council together, then everybody has an opportunity to state their thoughts. Right. All right. So here's the second card. It backs up the first one, right? All right. So here it is. Look who comes back to see us, but the medicine bowl. It's all about healing. And I don't know how much more I can talk about the medicine bowl. My Tuesday night show is all about the medicine bowl. The Medicine Bowl and You was the title, and how we are the medicine bowl. And how do we take care of ourselves? How do we attend to the medicine bowl, our personal? But it's all about healing. The medicine bowl is it's a very ancient tradition among Indigenous people. It's a tool that was used by healers and by seers and by holy people in different Indigenous nations, not just Native American, but all across the globe, right? All across Grandmother Earth. Each nation had something like it, a medicine bowl. And it's about healing. So here's what Jamie has to say about the medicine bowl. She says that the medicine bowl is where our ideas are nurtured. The future is held and growth is accomplished. Many women call their wombs their medicine bowl. We never know what our children will look like or what abilities they will hold until birth. So it is with the medicine bowl. The visions or answers are not predictable until viewed. We must be open to what future brings. Some of the lost medicine of our ancestors is returning through the use of the medicine bowl. These sacred healing bowls remember their former uses and willing to share the memories of those trained to hear, feel, or see. Right? But if we're talking about the medicine bowl as a metaphor for us individually, that the medicine bowl that is the container for our spirit, right? Which is our physical body. That part of us, that our higher self, our soul, and the gifts that we came in with is how our soul expresses our purpose here in this particular lifetime. So every time we heal an aspect of ourselves, whether it's that mental trauma or emotional trauma, every time we do a healing and we release what no longer supports us, we make more room for our medicine to come to the surface and to be shared, right? And we share it through our gifts. So every time you do a little bit of a healing, you have more access to your gifts, you have more access to your intuition, but more importantly, you have the opportunity to express your full medicine. Yeah. Not concentrated in small doses, but in its fullness, Yeah. And so the medicine bowl and the healing, it says that that the healing is on the horizon. This can be a spiritual, mental, emotional, or physical healing. Pay attention to the events in your life and acknowledge with gratitude the healings that manifest themselves. The steps toward wholeness are often marked with small healing releases and can often be overlooked. Become aware of the shifts in attitude or a sense of well-being, and you'll understand the healing as it manifests. In this way, you're assisting your future beyond the void to heal you in the present. In all cases, the medicine bowl speaks of good medicine. It is being offered. Your present task is to find it and use it to heal the self or to assist another. Okay? So we have these two cards that when we're asked to make a decision, about something that's in our lives that we have been kind of vacillating about, that we haven't sat down and actually made the decision. Possibly we keep talking about it, but no decision has really been made. And so that comes through the council fire, right? And with the medicine bowl, it's about healing. So maybe we can look at it this way, is that it's possible that if either your healing that you've already done, it puts you in a position to be able to make the decision with more self-confidence. If you allow your mental mind to step out of the way, right? That's one way that we could look at it. The other way we could look at it is it's possible that there's something that you need to look at to heal or to release, to let it go, so you can make the decision. So it's no longer an interference or an obstacle. But once the healing is done and you've experienced that life lesson and gained the wisdom from it, that wisdom gets added, right, as a positive. So that when you're making your decision, that you have more self-confidence in it, right? Because you're trusting yourself a lot more. So there's two different ways we can look at that. And maybe it is because some of us are in each one of those camps, that we've done the healing already, and what we need to do is allow our mental mind its say, and then have it step aside, so that we can make the decision from our soul and from our heart. Because you're taking the information from your mental mind and bringing it in to balance out the emotional part. And so you're making the decision from your high heart, right? There's some of us in that camp. And there's others of us that possibly we need to do another healing or an aspect of one or release something that has been an obstacle so that we can make the decision. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. Well, Valerie's here. Hello, Valerie. Good to have you here. And Tina is saying, it's interesting that was mentioned about the medicine bowl as a woman's belly giving birth. Comes to mind if any woman prays for the well-being of the child as it's being born. Yeah, yeah. Having that connection, well, no, so I don't have kids. So I've never been pregnant. So I don't have that firsthand knowledge, okay? But what I do have is an understanding of the spirit that comes into the physical body of the baby, right? We do know that we select our parents and we select the time that we're going to be here. And so while the baby, the spirit, is inside the mother's womb, it's the mom's spirit and the baby's spirit. They already know each other. They've known each other for a really long time. They're not newly acquainted. Yeah. Yeah, and so to have that, I think that awareness that they were already connected. And so now that they've come together in this physical world, is that they can make their connection in this way. So those prayers, of course. They also say that the babies, even once they're born, they still have this really strong connection to spirit because they're still more spirit than they are two-legged human in the physical body. They're just getting used to their their physical vehicle. So Tina, I think you're right. I do think you're right. All right, so let's see, what time is it? Okay, we got a couple more minutes. I can let you know what happened with those other cards. All right, so this other card that came, because there's two more, right? This is the North Shield. Now, we've had the North Shield too. And I believe it was along with the Council Fire at one time. But anyway, North Shield is about wisdom and gratitude. Wisdom and gratitude, and in the tradition that Jamie Sams writes about, they place the buffalo in the north, in the color white in the north on the wheel. And notice the blue. Whenever they talk about spirit, they use that color blue because of the blue road, right? It's a road of spirit, according to the Seneca. In the Potawatomi Nation, we do talk about the east-west road also being the blue road. But that has to do with us being spirit and experiencing our physical life. And that's the blue road for us. And so with the North Shield, a lot of the North Shield is about ancestors. And it's about the wisdom that we gain, the wisdom that we have. Oops. Turned one too many pages. There we go. Jamie says that the revelation of the teaching of the North Shield is that the North is at the top of our medicine wheel, and beyond that is the South, or the beginning of the new medicine wheel, at the place of our ancestors. and to remember that there's no limitation when you reach a place of wisdom. The secrets are no longer meant to be kept from those with ears to hear and eyes to see. And so with the North Shield, it's about wisdom is coming your way, and that you're now being asked to show with gratitude for those new understandings in order to continue the growth process. Wisdom is an inner knowing that can't be traded, sold, or stolen from you. Knowing is truth that has been experienced in life. The North Shield tells you that you have learned a lesson and derived from it a sense of self that will serve you for the rest of your life. The successful completion of this lesson should be marked by prayers and thanksgiving, or acknowledged in gratitude, and to remember that the gift of wisdom is in the heart of the recipient and remains alive as long as it is honored as a blessing. Okay. So, with the North Shield coming in, is that in making that decision, whatever that decision is that you already have wisdom. You've already experienced enough to make this decision. You've already done your healing work. And even if you have to do that extra healing, whatever that is for some of us, and then you're adding to the wisdom, right? Adding to your wisdom. And so I think with the North Shield is that whatever decision that you're going to be making or about to make is that you have the wisdom already. And we go back to that word I've been using, which is self-confidence. To trust in yourself in making that decision. Because with your decision being made, you get to move forward. You get to move forward. Very interesting, isn't it? All right, and so the last card that came is Vision Quest. Don't you just like this card? I like this image. See if I can get my camera to focus on it better. And the Vision card, or the Vision Quest card, is about is seeking and finding. The Vision Quest card is about seeking and finding. It says that the Vision Quest card speaks of a time of new directions or strengthening the present path based on personal truth. Sometimes to find this truth, it's necessary to enter the silence and remove personal confusion. In all other instances, it is necessary to actually go on a vision quest. This card tells you that the course of your life needs to be clarified through vision. It's now time to ask for assistance from your allies or your ancestors so that your choices will be reinforced with their wisdom and their assistance. Trusting those feelings and following them with action is the way to find the truth. To accomplish this, you must release confusion and doubt. Then proceed by allowing your truth to emerge. Remember, in seeking, you are asking for answers. Be willing to accept and recognize the truth when it comes to you. Recognize and acceptance always precedes inner knowing. Wow. That's a mouthful. Huh? So this last card, is that if you find yourself still vacillating, and not quite trusting yourself yet is to ask the ancestors, is to ask your allies to come in and place their wisdom in front of you, because you're searching for the truth, asking them to help you to clarify for you what your truth is so that you can make a decision. And so you feel more confident in it. Now, they're saying that you can make this decision, that you have everything that it takes to make this decision. You have all the tools to make this decision. Even if you have to do a little bit more healing work, that's just adding to your wisdom to clear away those obstacles and then to get out of our way and allow that balance between the head and the heart. It's pretty something, huh? Yeah, just to see all four of those together. You might even want to take a nice deep breath in, and then on the exhale, is just knowing that all aspects of yourself is taking in this information, the vibration coming off the cards, the energy, specifically for you, and just taking it in. Yeah. Okay. All right. And Tina is saying, I felt at one time my dad was very sickly and I had the feeling to face the north and pray. But then I thought, after doing that, what gives me the right to keep my dad here? And understanding came. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when we make those kind of prayers, it's really for ourselves, isn't it? Especially when it comes to something like that, because who wants to be there, without their dad, so to speak. If you have a really good relationship, and knowing that you're going to miss him, and so really it's about ourselves, right? But I like what you said about that. Who am I to say that he has to stay, right? When he may have finished what he was meant to do here, and he had a choice to go home. Yeah. And what do they say? Is death is just another experience. That it's not an ending; it's a beginning. All these euphemisms for it, but in my world, anyway, the reality is that they're just as much present here. What we miss is their physicalness, right? Physicalness. Yeah. I was thinking about my dad the other day. Yeah. Michelle says wise words. That was coming through my team. I was just repeating what they were saying to me, and having the courage to do it. That's how I start most of the shows before I even get started, guys. Before I even hit the broadcast button, I call my team in and I ask them to be here with me to help me to express what needs to be expressed for the highest good, and to help me to have the courage to say what needs to be said. Yeah. Tina said should not interfere with one's path. Yeah. 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 When we make those kind of prayers, we're really thinking more about ourselves. Because if we were in a supportive role, right? And whatever your dad, that soul, needed to do is to be there to support, encourage, right? To make the physical body as comfortable as possible, and as to set the sacred space so that his soul would have the space to do whatever they need to do in that space, right? Yeah. But it's hard. It is. We're two-legged. We're humans. So Yeah, to be able to say those prayers. And maybe it's in that self-awareness though, Tina, that is facing the north to pray for the wisdom, and you got it, right? And you got it. It's a good one. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, thank you. All right. Well, we're near the top of the hour. I wanted to, I didn't download that. Rats. I was going to share with you a couple of things that were going on next week, except it's in my email, and I always close my email so we don't keep getting the notifications and the dinging in the background on the audio. So next week we have a few shows coming up. Of course, we have Polly Jo LeBay and Chakra Sessions on Tuesday at noon. And then we have Communications from Home at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. And on Thursday, we have two shows. I just want to make sure the month is going by so quickly. Wanted to make sure it's the 25th. Next Thursday. Okay, so that means that we have Angel Therapy with Maureen Mann at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and we also have the Mystery School at 8 p.m. On Thursday, and that's Eastern Time. So we have a few shows coming up for you next week. The other things that are happening that's coming up that is pretty exciting is that we have a class that Julie Hedges is teaching here at Star Nations in the building that I'm in right now. And she's calling it Total Tarot Immersion. And so if you love tarot and you're just getting started, it's a good class to do that with. If you're somebody who has been doing tarot for some time and you wanting to strengthen your skills in it and maybe have somebody like a mentor to be able to ask questions to that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to, that's a good class to do that in, because you know what? It's going to be a lot of hands-on. So you're going to be bringing your tarot deck with you, and you're going to be doing hands-on stuff. So that's really good. That is May 31st through June 2nd. And you can always go to starnations.org and click on the Academy page and scroll down to you get to Julie's class. It's all the information is there for it, and to register. And then Polly Jo is having a class here. It's in May. No. Yeah, the first weekend in May. That's it, the first weekend in May. And that would be starting Friday night on May 3rd and going through the 4th and the 5th on Sunday. And that is the quantum energy healing. It is a intense weekend. If you're looking for the kind of healing work that Polly Jo does during like soul connections, that's the weekend. You know, that it's life-changing kind of stuff. Yeah, and so you can go to, the .org website, our website, and get more information about that. Yeah, and Polly Jo's class, be prepared. Be prepared to bring whatever intention that you want for healing that weekend, because she's going to teach us about the chakra system and how that could be helpful, and how you can tell through your chakras, what needs to be healed. And so, yeah, it's good stuff. And chances are the Ancient One will be here. One of her helper spirits that she channels. When he was here the last time, the deck behind me faces east. And I came up here early to get things set up for the day for Polly Jo, and It was Polly Joe and I think Julie Hedges was out there with us that morning. And on my phone, I have some Lakota songs, and one of my favorite ones is the morning song. And so a lot of times I'll come up here and sing the morning song. And so I thought, well, why not? Let's do that, right? And so here we are. I'm singing to the music, and Polly Joe started channeling the Ancient One, and he starts singing in his own language. And here I am, and singing in a language is not necessarily my own, although I have some heritage to the Ho-Chunk. But in Lakota, singing the morning song, and here the Ancient One is singing through Polly Joe. It was something. It was something to be there out there with him and Polly Joe. It was so you might be able to experience something like that. Yeah. So with that, you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'll meet you back here on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern for the daily live stream and the card draw information. On Sunday, we're going to take Sunday off because it's Easter, okay? And then we'll be back on Monday. And on Monday, we have our newest author will be doing her book launch on Facebook on Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the 22nd. So come, we got prizes, we got stuff we're going to talk about. It's going to be a good time. All right. So enjoy the rest of your Friday, and whatever resonated with you today, please embrace and see how the energy flows for you today. Okay. All right. Bama Mina. Until we see each other again. Love you guys.